Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I wanted to do an interesting video. It's a Rob's Rambling. I wanted to talk a little bit about knives that are bigger are not always better. And sometimes they are. You know, in some cases you get a bigger knife and you think, oh, that's just great, that's better. And then sometimes a bigger knife is tremendously better and of the same version. And I have a few examples here of some knives that some of you guys are familiar with, the Baby Banter and the Mini Penguin and the Kaiser Lieb and the Para 3, the Spyderco, part of their military, paramilitary kind of line here, but this is the Para 3. So these are knives that came out, different variants kind of came out after the larger versions were first out, but these are the smaller versions. And so sometimes, you know, I guess even the question is, you know, sometimes knives that are smaller are not always better, and sometimes they are. I guess it really comes back to, you know, what are you looking for in a knife? And it also could be, you know, your size of your hands. Do you have like gigantic hands? And if you have gigantic hands, yeah, then maybe a larger knife is going to be better almost all the time. Do you have smaller hands? Do you have thinner hands? Maybe a smaller knife is going to be better all the time. You know, some people have very strong opinions about this, and I've had some interesting discussions in some of my chats, comment sections, and other knife channels comment sections, where people are like, you know, oh, it's got to be big. It's got to be a 10-inch blade. It can't be anything smaller than that. That's just a knife for wimps and whatever. Now, granted, some of these people might have, you know, they might be 6'8" or 7 feet tall and have hands about the size of Shaquille O'Neal or something. And, you know, their one hand would probably cover my two hands here put together. And yeah, if you're that big, you're probably going to need a giant knife. But then again, you know, my wife has smaller hands, and I know other people who have smaller hands. They wouldn't feel comfortable with the larger knives. The knives would become too daunting, too overwhelming for them. And so these are some knives that I've liked. I really like this Para 3. This is one of my more favorite size, or my favorite sizes of the paramilitary line. I like the Para 3 the most. For instance, like if you were to compare that to the paramilitary 2. That one is much bigger, and it's also harder to wield. Now, this one's almost too big for my hand. I like to carry it at times, but you can see it's big. Even when you choke up, it's tremendously. So people with gigantic hands are going to feel very comfortable with this. There's actually a paramilitary version, which is like the first one, that's even bigger than this. Now, this knife I haven't carried in a while, so it hasn't broken in. I've got to break those phosphor bronze in, carry them a little bit, and flick them, and kind of wear them in, because it probably got a little corrosion on there. You know what happens with bronze if you touch it after a while? It starts to tarnish, starts to oxidize, and it will oxidize even in there. And you can already see the action's getting better because we're getting oiled work in there. So if you don't carry a knife in a while, then sometimes this does happen, especially with phosphor bronze washers. By the way, this is not Kate ceramic ball bearings, which means there's just a thin piece of phosphor bronze that's cut out in a circle, and it's pressured and it's oiled in between, and that's what causes that ability for it to move like that. But anyways, the Para 2, I do like to carry it, and there's times this is a great knife for certain useful things, but it's almost too big sometimes, right? And my favorite carry of the two is going to be the Para 3. I like this more because it's a more comfortable size for me. It's a more EDC type of size. Now, if I'm planning to just carry something small and discreet, this is what I like. So in this case, yeah, the larger size is not always beneficial. In even the paramilitary, it's even bigger than that. Definitely would not work for my hands. That would be way too big. Now, I know there's one reviewer, a couple of reviewers actually, subscribers of mine that have large hands, and also there's some other knife reviewers. I know they have gigantic hands. They probably look as the Para 2, paramilitary 2. The size of it looks like, you know, in my hand, like a Para 3 is what their hands would look like with a Para 2. And they probably like the paramilitary, the original one, the larger one, even though there's a new version of that one out, and because that fits even better. That would be a ridiculous size for me. I couldn't use that. It'd be too big. You know, it'd be cool, but it's just not a knife I would buy because I'd never carry it. Now, I would carry this. I do like this, and I've carried this size. I will say most of the time if I'm trying to carry something discreet, man, I got to break this in. I can put some oil in this. So the thing about phosphor bronze, you know, you got to use them, or if you don't use them, they don't stay as smooth, right? You got to kind of work that oil in and just keep it going. So, but and I'm just failing on this. It's terrible. I know. It's like, what are you talking about? You sure you've ever handled a knife? I have handled a knife. But anyways, I like to carry this when I've got some tasks set up for it, but this is my favorite size right here. I do like this, the Para 3. It's one of my more discreet, comfortable carries. I like this one just better. So I will tell you, this is the one that most of the time I'll carry and use. So, and in this case, bigger is not always better. It just isn't. Now, compared to the paramilitary, the original one, smaller was better for a lot of people. Now, for the original people, especially if you got gloves on and your military gloves, that's where I think like the Microtech Annex, I had that and I sold that to Beard to Do. Great knife, liked it. I think it's quality. It's really a well built knife by Reich Knives. I can't recommend it enough, but it's just not for me. It's not something I'm going to carry. It's too big for my hands, and this is close to being too big, but it's not. I do carry this. Obviously, you can tell I haven't carried it in a while because it's a little big, but I do carry this. Whoa, here we go. Let's pretend I at least know how to flick a knife here, right? So I do carry it. Maybe it's because I'm not doing it straight. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm doing it sideways for the camera, and so normally when I do it, I would do it like this. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it seems more natural like this. All right, so there you go. I do like to carry it, but not always. I end up carrying this one. So in this case, size, the smaller was better. The bigger was not better. Was not better for me. Okay, so here's the Kaiser Lieb. Now this is a knife that I originally got for my son, and he didn't carry it, and so I put it in my collection, and I'm hoping someday he'll want it back. But I like this knife. It's a great fifth pocket knife. It's just really well done. It is definitely a sheep's foot. It's really nice, but it's small, and this knife is definitely a 3-finger knife for me, and I can't really choke up on it. So for me, it's truly a 3-finger knife, and if you're okay with a 3-finger knife, that's great. And it doesn't have any jimping, so it slides here. So it's a knife that if I needed a small knife for something for maybe more utility cut, this was a great knife, but I don't carry this often. But because I originally got it for my son, I'm going to keep it until he'll want it back someday. I ended up getting the Kaiser Lieb, and that is a much bigger knife, and I can get a full presentation on that. It's got contoured micarta scales. I love this micarta. It's kind of a very worn in, rugged kind of look to me. I don't know. I kind of dig this. It's not the traditional micarta. I don't have a whole lot of micarta. I have a few, and the few I'm kind of particular about the aesthetics of it. And this is one of those that I kind of dig. It's different, right? I'm typically going to get carbon fiber or titanium, and this one works for me. But I like this one. It's multi-row bearings. I put a skiff multi-row in there, which means it has 2 rows of K-ceramic ball bearings on the washer. And the action is ridiculous. And it's a button lock, so you can actually see that. As it drops down, it just closes really beautifully. Really nice, right? And the action is great. And the plunge lock gives it great detent to be able to deploy it. But this to me is a very functional size. I can still do my utility cut if I needed to. But this is I've carried this more often. It does have the deep pocket carry clip. It is 154 cm blade steel, which I like. So I feel like this is a better steel as well. It's not gonna be as corrosion resistant probably as the I believe the N690, because I think N690 is corrosion resistant. I could be wrong. I thought it was more corrosion resistant. Maybe it's more a tougher steel. I don't know. I have to look that up because I don't normally carry anything with N690. That's kind of like the only thing I have in it. So it's one of those steels I don't often think about. But I know 154 is a great steel. So 154, I believe, is just a great steel. I like that a lot. And you know, it is black stone wash, which is nice. It's a full flat grind, goes all the way up. Now I can only reverse flick it with my left hand over here, but that's fine. I have an alternative way to reverse flick, which is nice. Of course, you can use a button lock and then you use the flipper. But it's just a nice contoured shape, and it is reversible clip, by the way, so it's lefty righty carry. Unlike this one, this one's only lefty or right, only righty. But I think they make these in the lefty versions. So in this case, for me, bigger was better. Bigger was better. Now, for some, it might be smaller is better. This might be too big. But then again, other people might want even bigger than this, right? And then sometimes bigger is just another alternative, right? It's just another variant of an already great knife. So I originally got the Penguin, and this is the original Penguin. And I got this traditional pocket knives exclusive here from Traditional Pocket Knives, and this is the Jig titanium scales, and it's M390 blade steel, and I love the action on this. It's just ridiculously butter smooth, locked in. It's just great. Now I did tune the detent. I like a lighter detent, so if you don't like that lighter detent, you can definitely tune it up, make it definitely more more stiff. But I like this a lot, and I love the drop shut action. And for me, this was great. But when they came out with the mini, I was like, oh, this is nice. I think I would want one of these. And I did. I got one. It is really a great fifth pocket knife, and I love the aesthetic. So when I'm carrying a nice original pocket knife and I want a fifth pocket knife when I'm carrying a really nice knife, this looks really nice with my pocket knife, especially if I'm carrying a nicer one. So I like carrying this with it, right, in my fifth pocket. And that's that little coin change wristwatch pocket on your right hand side if you have Levi jeans. That usually it's in there. So for me, the question I believe we originally asked was, is bigger better? And or is smaller better? You know, I guess really it's a question, is bigger or smaller better? For me, yes, I'll answer the question, yes, to both. Because this was the original one I got, and this was better. And then I was able to get this to my collection recently. This is the Penguin Plus, and it is the larger version. And you know what I'll say, is the larger better? Well, I don't know if it's better, it's just nice. They all complement each other. I like carrying all three. There's some days I want to carry this size knife. Some days I want to carry a fifth pocket knife, and maybe even if I'm carrying in gym shorts or something, I've got to be really discreet. This is a great little pocket knife where it's not offensive. If I pull this out, no one's going to freak out, and they're not going to be like, oh my gosh, that's like a big weapon. You know, if I could pull this out, I can just pull it out like this, like a little slip joint, and open it up. No one's going to be freaked out about it. It's barely 2 inches. Is it even 2 inches? Yeah, it's just barely 2 inches, right? So it's small. But then you have this, and this is the Penguin Plus. It's much bigger. You hear that deploy. You hear that open, especially with the flipper. You know, it's a nice sound, but some people get all weird about it. But I like this. I like bigger was better, smaller was better, and the regular size was better. They're all great. So in this case, bigger and smaller were better, and the original was better. So yeah, all the above. I know that doesn't answer the question, but I just think it's different cases, different things. And I like this set here, the set of three. This is one of the few that I don't normally get more than one of a variant of a knife. But I like this. I like this because they're different enough in size that, to me, that was really awesome to have. So, to me, bigger and smaller were better. Then you got the Baby Banter, and the Baby Banter was one of those first ones I got that everyone's, oh, this fits like a great knife, and I did. I put it in my hand. It fits really well, and I thought, wow, that's great. And I thought, you know, that's really cool. So let's give that a try. And I'm not sure if the Banter or the Baby Banter came first, but for me, the Baby Banter came first, and I liked it. It fit well. It got a nice cutout. And then these are the unlocked composite scales, by the way. The original ones are G10. Get these if you get a Baby Banter. These are so nice, the unlocked composite scales. But this fits so well. It's contoured with those unlocked composite scales. It's a great comfortable knife. For this size knife, I get a full presentation, full grip. You feel really solid, locked in there, and it works well. And even for as light and thin as that blade is, it drops shuts just about. You know, a little shake and it's closed, right? You release the liner lock and it closes right down on right there with the finger choil really nicely. And so I liked it, and I was like, well, I don't know if anything's better. So then I went ahead and I bought the Wee Banter, and I thought, oh, it's got to be better because it's bigger, right? Well, the original one I got was the carbon fiber scales. It was their carbon fiber scales. Did not like it. It was very sharp on the edges. It wasn't really well cut out for the liner lock, so it was hard for my finger to get in there. It hurt to get my finger in there because it was so tight. There was not a good cutaway, and so after a while, I was like, I didn't like it. I ended up selling that knife because I thought this is horrible. And then I found out about these unlocked composite scales, which is around the time I got those, right? And when I found about them, I said, man, let's try it with the unlocked composite scales. Well, lo and behold, this made it a completely different knife, and bigger was better all of a sudden. And now it's comfortable. You got great access. It drops shut. This is the scales that this knife should have always had. This would have made this knife like, I dare say this configuration right here would be a big time contender to like the Bug Out or something, because all we needed to do has a little contour, a little cutout away and contouring of the scale made this knife so much better. Now, these scales did add a little money to it. So, excuse me. So the an extra, I think, $65 to that. So you're looking at a knife that then became, I don't know, like 160, 170 bucks because of those scales. So the question is bigger better? Well, in this case, yeah, I think it is, but with these scales, and that was really nice. So So then they came out with a big banter, and I thought, well, is that better? And I got it, and I thought, okay, yeah, that's nice. They are going to be doing a lot of composite scales for this, and this is one of the reasons why I'm very, very excited about. So I got it, and I thought, yeah, this is nice. And and then the choke up, I was like, yeah, that's really good. That's great. It chokes up really nicely. It's a very comfortable knife, and the action is ridiculous. It's just so smooth and so great. And bigger was better, but I think bigger could be even better with the unlocked composite scales once we get those, because this is still great like this, no doubt. I still enjoy carrying this one. Matter of fact, I can front flip it with this part. There's no jimping, but if you can get enough tension on there, let me see here, my hands might be a little slick. Let me just, there we go. There we go. You can flip them like that. It works really, really well. So bigger was better here as well, but I think it can be better still. So there you go. I mean, there's also one more. I mean, the Lander, which is another Ben Peterson's design. He's the same guy who made the Baby Banter, the Banter, and the Big Banter. This is his own knife company called NAFS, and this is kind of a, I would say it kind of falls in between here. It's in between. It's just a little bit smaller than the Wii Banter, and there's a budget version of this, and the budget version is going to compete with the Baby Banter, but it's a, this is a little bigger grip than the Baby Banter and a little bigger blade. So and that particular version is going to be D2, and I actually have one of those. I just don't have it out. But this is the Smoky Mountain Knives exclusive. Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Smoky Knife Mountain Works. Sorry, I can't talk. Exclusive, and this is the Mars Valley carbon fiber or fat carbon, and this is S35. VN steel, which is a premium steel. It's really nice, and I have used this, and you can see the blade's a little dirty. It's got some stuff on there from using cutting stuff. So I use my knives, but this was definitely a much better version of it. But it's not necessarily bigger. It's still better. I mean, I think a little Premier knife is better because you better cut out to the lockout and all sorts of stuff. But I still think it's a great knife. This is where I think smaller was better here. For me, even here, smaller was even better. Here, for me, bigger was better. Again, for the size and how it fits my knife. Here, all of them were great. Now, the one I'm probably going to carry the most is going to be either this one or this one if I'm carrying just one exclusive knife. I like carrying either of these two. Right now, I like to carry this once in a while as a fifth pocket knife, or just as an exclusive when I want something really small. So this right here for me is a great fifth pocket knife. It doesn't get carried much, but it's still a great knife. Here, I like carrying this again, fifth pocket knife. Really, really nice knife. It's not one I carry as much as exclusively, but I have carried exclusively, just so you know, because it is a great size. I've carried this a bit and this a bit more. So those knives I like to carry by themselves, and I like carrying this once in a while, but it's pretty big. It's when I really need a big tool, a big knife to work with. It's a great knife. I do like it. Bigger is better for the task sometimes. Sometimes bigger is not better for the task. So it's a matter of those questions. So there you go. That's my take on, is bigger better or smaller better? And the question really isn't that simple. I don't think it's cut and dry. I think it's a matter of what your aesthetics are, what your task is, what you want to do with your knife, the purpose of your knife, maybe what you look for in a knife. And for me, I look for different things at different times. And this is, I think, just a great example. This is how these knives came into my collection, because these are knives that I use. And if you didn't know, all the knives in my collection I carry. I'm of the opinion that any knife I have, I carry it. If I don't carry it, I should sell it, because I'm not at the point where I collect knives and have these collections that I'll never carry. People do that all the time, and that's fine. Absolutely fine. I know lots of great people who do that, and I think that is your choice to do with what you want to do, right? I'm not going to interfere with that, but I like to carry the knives that I have, and I just think these would make a great collection. So, and these I do carry, and these I do enjoy, right? And now I carry this one more than that, and I carry this one more than that, and I carry these two more than that, but I still love carrying that. I carry these two more than those, but I still carry this. I love that, and I still love carrying that. So, I mean, there you go. Probably the least one I carry is this one here, and then that one. But otherwise, all the rest I carry. So that's my take on it. I don't know what your thoughts are, what your experiences are. Maybe, I didn't even talk about the Spyderco variants. There's a whole bunch of Spyderco that, besides this, the Delica, Dragonfly, a whole bunch of different ones. There's a bunch of different other manufacturers out there that we could talk about as well. There's all sorts of other manufacturers. I'm thinking of Sencut, Civivi. I'm thinking Concept. I'm thinking of yeah, just a bunch of other knives. I'm sorry, my brain just, I had them all in my head, and then they disappeared as I tried to list them off. That's funny. So there you go. All right, well, hey, thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining, value, any content that just maybe help you think a little bit more, would you consider hitting the like button down below? I would really appreciate that. And if you've hit that like button, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button as well. Liking and subscribing my videos really helps the channel out quite a bit. It helps us to grow and be able to produce more content, helps us to have more reach and more interaction with manufacturers, so we can maybe do more with the channel and pass more things on to you. And if you've done all that, maybe consider hitting the notification button as well. You can be notified of future drop videos. And if you've also done all of that, then maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives on Instagram. Again, that's robs_nerdy_knives on Instagram. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.